Welcome to the Tailored AMP Plus training. Achieve My Plan, or AMP Plus, is a 5-step process used to ensure ongoing youth-driven support of the young people receiving youth peer support and community support services. AMP Plus was developed by Pathway RTC in Oregon as a toolkit that helps youth to identify their strengths, goals, action steps to meet those goals, and ultimately address the challenges one by one that may be getting in their way of living their best life. AMP Plus helps youth peer support specialists and community support specialists to create an experience that truly puts the youth and young adults they serve in the driver's seat of their own journey, while maintaining progress at every point along the journey. Today, we will discuss the 5 main steps to the AMP Plus process, the worksheets that guide those steps, and get an opportunity to practice. Before we get started, let's discuss a few key points that will be important to keep in mind as we go through the training. Please have the AMP Plus worksheets in front of you to refer to as we proceed through the training. AMP Plus has 3 main parts and a variety of worksheets. We will go through them all today, but know that the pace of how you proceed through in your time with young people will depend very much on the individual needs and style of that young person. The important part is that these materials are being visited frequently and used to guide the progress to a goal the young person has identified for themselves. All AMP Plus materials are designed to be filled out together and to be used with the motivational interviewing skills of open-ended questions, affirmations, reflections, and summaries. It is important to stay in practice with these skills so that we can ensure that the young person is the one truly driving their own plan. Finally, this material is designed to be revisited again. In today's training, we will discuss how and when to revisit certain elements of the materials. We are excited to get started. The first step to AMP Plus is the Strengths Assessment. In this step, the Strengths Assessment worksheet is the only component. The Strengths Assessment worksheet provides an opportunity for the youth peer specialists or community support specialists to work with a young person to identify their own unique strengths. Identifying one's strengths can help in several ways when goal planning. It gives one idea of the skills and assets they have that can be used to accomplish their goal, yet also provides a boost of confidence needed to get started with the journey of achieving one's goals. As with all AMP Plus worksheets, you will start the process by asking the young person if they would like to write on the form or if they would like you to. You will need to provide copies of the forms you are using for the young person to take with them, and also have a copy of them available to access at your program site. Review the purpose of the activity before you get started. As you can see on the worksheet, the materials are intended to be used as a guide for conversational style of goal development. In this way, the AMP Plus worksheets are packed with questions and examples that help to bring context to the materials and brainstorm ideas. Imagine being asked what your strengths are without prompting. What would you say? It is normal to feel put on the spot. Thus, the questions at the top of the sheet and bottom of the sheet really helps to think more deeply about what strengths and assets. If you find that the young person is having difficulty identifying their strengths, use the questions on the page to help guide the conversation. Also, as you get to know them in your conversation, mirror the strengths and assets you see in them to add to the activity. You will see an example of how this is done in role play. In this worksheet, we will try to come up with at least 4 strengths. This gives the young person a good list to look back on when they need the encouragement along the way. We all gain more strengths as we navigate life and achieve our goals. You should revisit this form periodically with young people to add to their lists of strengths and accomplishments. It's possible that you may be the only person in the young person's life to recognize their strengths. That is powerful. Step 2 of the AMP Plus process is all about using visioning to identify a goal to work on during the time that it is spent together. This part of the process offers an opportunity to put down the confines of reality and really dream about the ideal future one has for themselves. Again, as with all AMP Plus worksheets, you will start the session by asking the young person if they would like to write on the form or if they would like you to. You will need to provide copies of the forms you are using for the young person to take with them, and also have a copy of them available to access at your program site. Review the purpose of the activity before you get started. You will see in your materials that there is a dream wheel that is blank to fill out, one with questions to guide the conversation in each domain, and one that has been filled out as an example. In this worksheet, you will start by prepping the young person to imagine what life will look like 3 years from now. Although that can be quite challenging, encourage them to think magically, putting the confines of everyday life aside. While it is important to be realistic, yes, we want to think hopefully, optimistically, and without limiting beliefs. Thinking magically about the future may take reminders periodically throughout the worksheet, and that is a great opportunity for you to encourage the young person you are working with. You will notice the worksheet is divided into different wellness domains: emotional, mental health, living, education, career, recreation, and friendship, relationships. Start your conversation by asking the young person where they want to start. Your goal is to get the entire worksheet filled out, but also to get as much detail as possible. You can truly take your time with this material, even dividing it up in sessions. Once the young person has identified the area they would like to start, use the guiding questions for that section, as well as your motivational interviewing skills in order to capture as much detail as possible. As you walk through this worksheet, please remember, silence is not the enemy. Young people may need a moment to process each question and really think about what they want life to look like. If a young person is having trouble identifying a place to start, it is often a great idea to look back at the Strengths Exploration worksheet to identify somewhere it may be easiest to go. Strengths can often inform goals. For instance, if my proudest achievement is being the first person in my family to graduate, you can say something like, "It sounds like your education is very important to you. Is that something you are interested in pursuing further?" You will notice this in the role play provided in this training. Once every section of this worksheet is filled out, you will then work together with the young person to identify one area of the dream wheel that they would like to start making progress toward. This will eventually become their goal and will be used in the next part of step 2. The dream wheel can and should be revisited periodically. As we all advance through life, our dreams can change. Do this activity when things seem to have changed enough to merit a new look into the future.
All right, thanks for taking a few minutes to talk with me.
Absolutely.
So like we talked about when you did your membership application, part of being a member here at the Drop-In Center is that you'll pick a goal that you are interested in, that you want to work on. It can be really anything, that you want to work toward, and we'll support you in any way we can to get to that goal. So how we do that, we use something called AMP Plus. And it's a series of worksheets just to kind of help us go through and figure out what you want to work on, what you want to achieve. And so every time you come in, I'll grab you for just a few minutes. We'll do a worksheet or part of a worksheet until we get to, figuring out what that goal is. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, that sounds fine.
Okay. So as you can see, you've got a copy of the worksheets. I have a copy of the worksheets. Would you want to write down what we're talking about, or do you want me to write down?
I'd rather you write it down.
Okay, no problem. And I'll make a copy just to make sure we've both got the information, so when we meet next, we can just jump right back in.
Okay.
So this first worksheet, and I did want to mention, all of these worksheets, they were designed by youth peer support specialists, and a youth peer support specialist is a young person who has lived experience, and that just means that they've had some challenges in their life that they've had to overcome, and so they really created these worksheets so that they can help other young people.
Okay.
So the first one, it's called Strengths Exploration. So this is where I want to list all of the good things about you, what you're good at, what you like to do, just all the good stuff. Get it on this page. So
Okay.
Do you want to kind of throw out some of your strengths? What you think you're good at? Kind of hard to think
kind
on
of
the
hard
spot.
to think.
So let's say, what kind of things do you enjoy doing?
I really enjoy organizing,
Okay.
and I enjoy sleeping a lot, and I really enjoy eating. It's probably one of my favorite things to do is to eat, try new food, or always eat hibachi.
Okay,
So-
that's kind of adventurous, right? Do you cook at all, or you just like to find good food to eat?
I just like to find good food to eat.
Okay, that's good. And you like to organize stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of organizing do you like to do?
It just really depends on my mood. Sometimes it might be whole rooms, moving things around and, reorganizing or rearranging that. And then sometimes it could be, finding specific things like my closet, maybe reorganizing it, or my dresser or a bookshelf, something like that.
Awesome. So do you do that because that's your happy place, or do you do that because you're stressed out by disorganization?
I think it could be a little bit of both.
Yeah. All right, well, what do you think, what would your family and friends say that you're good at or they like about you?
I think that they would say that I'm really organized, and I think also say that I'm dependable.
That's a pretty good one, being dependable. Not many people are really dependable. So kind of when you say you're going to do something, you follow through with it, people
Yeah.
can count on you.
Yep.
Awesome. What about any accomplishments that you've had that you look back on and you're like, I did that? I'm proud of myself.
I would think, most recently, whenever I was a senior in high school, I was the president of the Key Club, and then also I was awarded the Principal Perseverance Award.
So what is the Key Club?
So it's basically like the community service club at the school. That's basically all we do is we go out to the community and do a bunch of different community service throughout the year.
Is awesome. So you like helping people?
Yeah,
Yeah. You like giving back?
yeah.
Okay, cool. And then you got this Perseverance Award from the principal. So you maybe went through some struggles and you were recognized for just working through it, pushing through it,
Yeah.
being resilient.
Yep.
Okay, great. So we have a good list here. When we meet, if I see something or you think of something else, we're going to keep adding to this list.
Okay.
But we've got, you are good at organizing and you like organizing things and places. You like to be adventurous and try different foods, and you like to eat, you like different foods. You're dependable, and family and friends would say that about you, wouldn't they? And you've accomplished some things. You were president of a club that helps people, and you got an award that recognized how hard you were working and struggles that maybe you went through. So that's a pretty good list.
Yeah.
All right, awesome, thank you.
When identifying a goal together, try to focus on one area of the dream wheel. Maybe the one that the young person is most comfortable with or excited about. Remember, the goals that you set here can always be changed later. The goal needs to be driven by the young person, so it may not meet your hopes or expectation for that young person. The goal you identify will need to be SMART. Help the young person put the goal into SMART language by ensuring the goal is specific. What exactly do you want to accomplish? Measurable. How will you know if the goal is met? Actionable. Is this goal achievable in a reasonable time? Are there steps you can take now? Realistic. Does this goal align with your values? Does it fit into your 5-year plan? Time-based. How long will it take to accomplish this goal? Here are some examples of goals that can be drawn from the dream wheel. For the emotional mental domain, a goal could be, I will set up therapy appointments for myself once a week for the next 6 months. For living, I will save up enough money to move into my own apartment within 1 year. For education, I will enroll in 3 classes this semester in order to complete my associate degree by May. For career, I will put in at least 2 job applications a week in order to secure a full-time job within 3 months. And for recreation or friendship, starting February 1st, I will meet 1 new person for 6 months.
Hey.
Hey.
All right, so our next worksheet that just going to take us a few minutes, hopefully, it's called the Dream Wheel. And what we're going to be thinking about today is you're going to think 3 years in the future. Okay. You're going to think about what would you like your life to look like? You know, what things do you hope to accomplish? Where do you hope to be living? All of that, like picture what it would look like. And from that, then we'll be able to move on and talk about working on a goal that you're interested in.
Okay.
So as you can see, it's separated like a pie into these different areas. So you've got living, education, recreation and friendship, career, and then emotional and mental health. And so we're going to go around and you're going to think about, again, 3 years from now and what you know, if you had a magic wand, what you would like your life to look like in these areas.
Okay.
So, where would you like to start? You pick.
I don't know. I guess let's start at emotional mental health.
Okay. All right. So, you want to tell me what you hope, like, just, you know, your emotional health would look like in 3 years?
I guess, you know, not being so emotional all the time, or maybe showing some more emotion. Sometimes I show too much, sometimes I don't show any emotion at all. So I guess 3 years from now, I'd like to, you know, have a better balance with, you know, showing my emotions.
Okay, so sometimes you feel like it's up and sometimes you feel like it's down.
Yeah.
You'd like more of just a stable
Balance, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever kind of gotten support or help for that?
So I'm in therapy right now, but you know, I'm on medication too, and I think the medication helps some, but ideally I'd like to be off my medication and just be able to, you know, stay settled with just talking to someone.
Mm-hmm. So you're hoping maybe to build some skills that would allow you to be off the medication that's helping.
Yeah.
Is your therapy, is it helping?
I think so.
Mm-hmm. Could you see yourself continuing that, or are you like, I want to accomplish this thing in therapy and then I'll sort of be done?
I think if it's the right therapist, I think I'd continue.
Mm-hmm. So maybe having that extra support through a therapist, if you need that to, again, help with that balance.
Yeah.
And then I heard if you could, you might like to see if you could work towards getting off the medication.
Yeah.
Anything else that you can, kind of picture how you would even like take care of your mental health and your emotional wellness? What helps it?
I guess, I hear about self-care and people say, they take really good self-care. So maybe learning about self-care and figuring out some things that I could do.
So
to
different
really,
strategies?
yeah,
Okay, awesome. All right, anything else in that area?
I don't think so.
All right, where you want to go next?
I guess let's go to living.
Okay, so 3 years from now, where do you want to be living? Who do you want to be living with? What's it going to look like?
Well, obviously I don't want to still be living with my parents.
Okay.
I mean, who wants to live with their parents still? So ideally I would love to be on my own.
Okay.
Or, maybe living with my best friend.
Okay. How long have you known your best friend?
Since 4th grade.
Okay, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, and you think you guys could get along as roommates?
Yeah, we don't want to kill each other most of the time, so I think we could live together.
Okay, so definitely living on your own, like an apartment?
I think so, yeah, an apartment.
And with maybe a friend, maybe a roommate, maybe your best friend.
Yeah.
Like where? In the same town? You think you'd be moving away for some reason?
I don't know. I mean, ideally, I would love to live in Lexington, or some major big city instead of this small town. If I could convince my best friend to move there with me, then maybe that's where.
So you're kind of ready to move on to just a bigger place,
Yeah.
city, that's like appealing to you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything else that you can like kind of picture about like your living situation?
No.
Okay. All right. Where do we hop to?
Let's go to education.
Okay.
So 3 years from now, I just graduated high school, and I really wanted to go to UK, and that's where I planned on going, and I didn't get a scholarship, so I, am gonna stay here and go to the local community college. So hopefully, 3 years from now, I've finished my degree, at least have a bachelor's degree. But also at the same time, I've not even really decided what I want to do.
Okay. So you're still kind of in that exploration place of figuring out what you might want to do.
Yeah.
Well, that's great though that you're able to go to the community college, maybe get out of the way some of those general credits, and you still have the hope maybe of going to UK or another university.
Yeah, ideally that would be great.
And sounds like money was a challenge.
Yeah, and not have to use a lot of student loans would be really good. But, I guess if I stay in the medical field too, I'll be making money to be able to pay off, all my student loans later in life. So
tell me about that. So it sounds like you have done some thought.
Yeah, I keep going back and forth between medical field or teaching.
Okay, so two kind of helping professions. But you're still kind of figuring it out, taking your time to figure out what would fit you the best.
Yeah.
Okay. And I guess that kind of leads into career, right?
Yeah.
So you could see yourself in one of these like helping jobs eventually if you get a bachelor's degree.
Yeah, I think ultimately in a position where I'm helping the community or helping people.
That's awesome that you have that in you. You know,
Yeah.
not everybody does. So they're like, I want to help people.
Yeah.
People can figure it out themselves. All right. So eventually, through school, you'd like to get a career. What about job-wise before then? Because again, I'm hearing, some of the education stuff is dependent on money.
Yeah. I mean, right now I work at Tim Hortons, but I really don't like, working there. Just a lot of different situations, and, I kind of am tired of working in a, I guess you could say, fast food kind of setting.
Like
so,
that's not your thing.
yeah,
You're thinking.
yeah, I think a different kind of setting. part-time wise to be able to have some money.
So can you kind of picture what other job might fit you a little bit better?
I don't know, maybe like a part-time job working in a clothing store, maybe a shoe store.
Sort of retail.
Yeah,
kind of
some
thing.
retail, something like that. Not that, I am that in love with shoes or know that much about shoes, but I would just rather do that instead of working with food and smelling like donuts every day.
Right. Okay, so you've got this job, but you would kind of like to move on to something that would be a little more appealing to you
Yeah,
as a
and
job.
maybe some more money too.
Okay, yeah, increase in pay.
Yeah.
All right. And then our last one is recreation and friendship. So when you think about 3 years from now, what kinds of things would you like to be doing with your free time and with your friends?
Well, ultimately, I hope that me and my best friend are still, best friends 3 years from now.
Yeah.
Since
Watch out, it becomes when you're roommates with someone.
yeah, well, and a lot of people say after high school, your friends change. So hopefully that doesn't change. And hopefully, since I am going to the community college, I can make some more friends there. Even though I know it's around town, and we probably mostly know everybody who lives here, where it's a small town, but maybe meet some new people that way. And then, whenever I do have free time, I enjoy hanging out with friends or going shopping or, being outdoors and kayaking, being on the water. So
you are an adventurous person, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So any other hobby type things or things that you enjoy doing that you want to keep doing or learn how to do?
I mean, organization, I always love organizing. I guess, cleaning is part of that organizing. But, I like to just do that just, as a stress reliever and not necessarily to fill my time. But, yeah, I don't know if I necessarily wanted a career.
Right.
I might, not love it anymore. So
Right. So it's you enjoy it right now. You don't want to burn out on it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we have a very full dream wheel here. And so the next time that we meet, we'll talk about coming up with a goal based on it.
Okay.
The third step of the AMP Plus process is action planning, and it is all about moving from dreaming to action. As with all AMP Plus worksheets, you will start the process by asking the young person if they would like to write on the form or if they would like you to. You will need to provide copies of the forms you are using for the young person to take with them, and also have a copy of them available to access at your program site. Review the purpose of the activity before you get started. Starting off, you will capture the SMART goal you worked with the young person at the end of step 2 to identify. Next, you will encourage the young person to think about what can be done realistically within the next month to make progress towards that goal. The hope is to identify 3 to 5 possible action steps that are relevant to teaching the goal. Reminders here are helpful that the goal will likely need to be accomplished in small pieces over time, so something small to start is a great way to make progress. Once you have discussed optional action steps, it's time to narrow it down to the step the young person will take between now and the next time you all are set to check in on goal progress. This will vary from individual to individual. It is good to discuss with the young person that life happens and things come up when we are trying to accomplish our goals. The section called Plan B is a chance to come up with another activity to do if something interferes with the first plan. This helps to ensure that the progress is made and the ball keeps rolling towards meeting the goal. You will see an example of this in the role play. In the action steps category, you will break the activity down into smaller action steps. Do the same for Plan B and discuss who can support the young person and how they can ask for that support. This is a great opportunity to discuss how program services, including the services you provide, can assist in the goal that the young person has. You will see a great example of how this is done in role play. In fact, the next step is all about offering support and services through the program you work in. Step 4 is where the AMP Plus worksheets meet the role of the peer support, community support, and other roles in the programs that young people have engaged with. By using the AMP Plus worksheets, you have successfully started the helping process. Now that you know what the young person wants, use your resources, partnerships, and connections to help young people achieve their goals. Your services and supports should all be about supporting the development of the strengths and assets with young people while also reaching their potential goals and working their action plans. Some examples of how you can utilize program services and supports in the AMP Plus process include researching jobs, info for housing, etc., role modeling or role play, being a listening ear, using decision-making tools and addressing solutions to barriers, being a cheerleader, offering compliments, and connecting member to services supports that helps their goals. The 5th step to AMP Plus is following up. This requires both verbal check-ins and revisiting the worksheets in AMP Plus to add strengths, revisit dreams, and adjust action steps and goals regularly. In the goal tracking phase, you will check in with the young person intentionally on a regular basis to discuss how progress is going. In the tracking phase, it is important to be a beacon of hope, encouragement, and adaptability. Ultimately, AMP Plus is about what the young person wants for themselves. Using the tools and asking what's next can really help them to accomplish their dreams. Once a young person has achieved one goal, you must go back and identify another. One of the greatest things about the AMP Plus process, its design and intentionality, providing youth-driven care. Using AMP Plus throughout the service process will ensure an investment in the life of the young person that is meaningful and makes a lasting impact. We have reached the time in the video which we will watch a role play of the AMP Plus process. Note that in this role play, we will go through all materials. In real life, the materials will be broken up in smaller sections, and the pacing will be based on the needs of your program and of the young person as an individual. Please pause the video along the way and take notes where needed. Once the role play is over, we will discuss frequently asked questions and resources before wrapping up the video.
All right, so finally we get to talk about and figure out what goal that you want to be thinking about and working on. Okay. So last time we did that dream wheel where we just talked about all those different areas and what you would kind of like your life to look like in 3 years. Yeah. And so we're gonna still look back at that, okay, and kind of come up with a goal based on where you'd like to start first. You know, when you look at your dream wheel and everything that you filled in for this, what kind of takes priority for you? Which section would you like to start on first?
I don't know. I guess career.
Mm-hmm. So you want to think about future as far as like your career, or right now what you want to do?
I think right now, like, I really want a new job. I want more money right now. You know, it's getting ready to be summertime, you know. Well, I mean, I guess technically it is summertime since, you know, school's out. Well, not really, but for me it's summertime, right. You know, now that I'm out of high school, and so I want to have some extra money. Especially, you know, whenever I go to school, to have that extra money for textbooks, maybe a new computer, or, you know, backpack, yeah, apartment, clothes, whatever I'm gonna need for right now. So
okay, so would you like to make a goal around then getting a new job?
Sure.
Okay, so what should it say?
I guess a higher paying job.
Okay, so getting a higher paying job that you like more?
That I enjoy, yeah.
Okay. All right. So when we think about that, so if you're going to look for a new job, what kinds of things, basically activities, do you think you're going to need to do to work toward that?
Well, obviously you need to look, you know, for
Right.
other jobs. And, you know, I've kind of thought about it before, but I lost my ID. And I know that I have to have an ID, you know, whenever I get hired somewhere. So that's been one reason too why I haven't really looked that hard or went ahead and made any effort to do it, because I don't know, you know, what to do.
Right, because that's like stopping you from
Yeah.
being able to get that new job.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got looking for a new job, but it sounds like priority is probably that lost ID and figuring out how to get it replaced.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so if we start there at that being like the first activity, then next we're going to talk about kind of action steps, like we're going to replace it, get that ID replaced. Let's talk about what would be the steps for that, and then if we can help in any way to support and get that done.
Okay.
So what do you think you need to do first?
I guess look online.
Yeah, see if there's some information about how to replace it.
Yeah.
Okay, so so an action step could be look online for how to replace the ID. And you may have noticed we've got a bunch of computers here.
Yeah.
We're connected to the internet, so you could do that here. Would you want any like help with that?
I mean, if you're offering it, sure.
Okay. All right. And then let's have a plan B. So
Okay.
like that's going to be your first step for working towards this goal. What if like something were to happen, like the Wi-Fi goes out or their website is down or something like that? What else could you do to start working toward that?
I mean, I guess maybe go to the courthouse, see if someone could take me to the courthouse to, you know, see how much it's going to cost and what all I need to do, what paperwork needs to be done to be able to get that ID replaced.
All right, so just go straight there. Would
Yeah.
you want someone to go with you or help
I mean,
out
can
with
you
that?
guys do that?
Okay. Yeah, we can.
Yeah, that'd
All
be
right.
great.
All right, so that's our plan B. So for plan A, looking on the internet, seeing if we can figure out, you know, what all do you have to do to get a new ID? When would you want to do that? You could do it today. You could do it next week.
Is it okay if we do it next time I'm in? Because my friends just got here, and so I want to go, you know, hang out with them for a little bit.
Totally. So yeah, so the next time you come in, we can just sit down, check out on the computers, look for that information. And you did say having somebody help you would be a good thing.
Yeah.
Anything else that we could do to kind of support getting that started?
Not that I can think of right now.
Okay. All right. Well, go hang out with your friends, and we will get moving on that next time you're in.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
The role play in this video offered a basic insight to the AMP Plus process. In the role play, the young person was easily able to identify their strengths, dreams, and goals. This is not the case for most young people. Our most frequently asked question is, how do we handle things when they do not seem to go as planned with the AMP Plus process? The most important thing to remember here is getting to know the youth you are working with and meeting them where they are at. The AMP Plus process might not be easy for them. You can pace it out and adapt it as needed to meet the needs of the young person. The biggest thing to remember is that the young person needs to have a goal and you need to help them work on it. Another frequent question is, how do I handle it when a young person is not taking it seriously? This comes up often, as many programs that use this process also offer a lot of other activities that can be more appealing to a young person than talking about and working on a goal. It is okay to be flexible in timing. You can say with a smile, "I can tell you're really not in a place to work on this today. Would there be a different time to follow up?" Most programs that use AMP Plus require a young person to identify a goal to work on in order to be a part of the program. If you work in one of these programs, you can remind the young person that the worksheet is a part of identifying the goal. This can better help to explain why it is important to do together. Work with other staff at your program to discuss other strategies. Our final frequent question is, how do you know when you need to revisit a worksheet? Again, every situation will look different, so there is not always a clear-cut answer. Ultimately, the best way to know is to ask the young person if they think they should revisit a section. Letting them drive the process is always a great answer. As with all things, practice makes progress. Simply put, it takes time to get good at doing the AMP Plus process, so we encourage you to role play and practice it often with a partner. You can schedule time monthly or quarterly to practice AMP Plus. If you have questions or need materials, you can reach out to us by visiting www.tailored.org. A big thank you to today's training contributors.